Hi everyone, welcome to Lizzie Stamps. I'm Beth Robinson, a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator, and I'm here to show you a watercolor technique with one of our brand new stamp sets that'll be coming out in the January through June 2021 mini catalog. I'm really excited to show you what this stamp set is all about. And I was lucky enough this past weekend to get together virtually with about 10,000 demonstrators, I think, came together, and we were able to see some of the new products coming out and also got great ideas on how we can enhance our business. And it's just a great way to get together. It's not the same as being in person with other demonstrators and getting to see some of those friendly faces that you met over the years, but at least this is the next best thing. So today I wanted to show you this wonderful card, and this is using this new stamp set, Enjoy the Moment. And what I love about this stamp set is that it is very versatile. I love the pencil sketch drawings, the writing with the print as well as the script. And if you didn't know, these are all different kinds of seed pods. So we have our sweet gum tree. We have, this is the, let me look because I wrote them all down. This is a bottle tree seed pod with these little seeds inside. This is a poppy seed pod. This is a lotus. And then here we have our, what's this one called? Paper lantern. And then we have our maple seed. I call those little helicopters. I love those. And then this one is a hickory seed pod from a hickory tree. And then these again are just little seeds that probably come from this seed pod, but they could actually come out of the lotus. They could come out of the poppy seed, but I really love this. And at first, when we received this as a free gift for being a part of On Stage, and we got a swag bag and some really great stuff, but this was the free stamp set, which will be coming out January, and you can order this through June of 2020. So it's a great little set. And so what I wanted to show you is a few cards that I've made, but first we're going to show how I made this card. And hopefully the lighting is very good, but what I did is I started off with a color palette, and I decided what colors that I wanted to use, and I want to show those to you now. So I knew that I wanted to use cinnamon cider. That was the basis of my color. And then I added, get these out. So, and then I added terracotta tile, mint macaron, and then I added Sahara Sand. So that is my color palette that we're going to use today. So, and I really like, this is a very simple, if you're a new stamper, this is a very easy technique for you to do, especially with the watercolors. So here I have a piece of our watercolor paper, and this is very thick. It's really porous. It holds the color well. And so this is a great way to just showcase some of those colors. So in our new catalog, we don't have the, we used to have these, our aqua painters, but now we don't have those anymore. But we have what's called water painters, and it comes in a set of 3, and it comes in this nice case, and you have a fine tip. There's the fine tip. And then you have a medium tip. And then you have your broad tip, which I really, really love the broad tip. And this is what we're going to be using. So you fill your water, you have your screw top and you fill it with water. And then it has it right here, it says push. And that tells you where to push the water, that make the water go through. I've used this quite a bit. It doesn't stain. You wipe it off once you use the color and then once you're finished with that color. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first color being Sahara Sand, and I'm going to start at the top. So what I do is I make a puddle, and how do I make that puddle is I'm going to squeeze down on the lid and open it up, and there you have your puddle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and I'm a lefty, so I'm going to start over here. I'm going to squeeze the water in a little bit, and I just want to get it a little wet because I want to start. And I just start going with brush strokes. You can start off to the side, and then you can, there we go. And so then as dark as you want it to get, or as light, you could add some re-inker if you wanted to get a little bit more color to it, but I really just want some softness. So I'm gonna go right about there, squeezing it a little bit more. And this color is dark right now, but it will dry a little bit lighter. And you can always go back if you decide that you want it to be darker. So all I'm doing here is I'm just taking my brush and just getting off the ink from the Sahara Sand. So I'm going to close that one up. And the next color I'm going to use is Mint Macaron. Again, pressing, and our newer stamp pads, it's a little bit harder to push down to get the puddle, but you will get it. And again, I'm going to squeeze some water onto the brush, and you'll notice that the brush separates a little bit, but once you get it really wet, it pushes together. And here I go again. And I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to close that one up. And then squeeze this out. I usually have a roll of paper towels in my craft room, and I use it for watercoloring, or if I mess up, or using glue. Here's the terracotta tile now, pushing down and getting my puddle, squeezing it again. This is a great way too, if you wanted to use the fine tip pen, that you could color in. I really like how some of these images are easy to color in, and I will show you at the end of the video some of the cards I've made using the different watercolor pens, or the water painters. So that's a little bit darker, so I'm just going to add a little bit more water, lighten it up a little bit. There we go. But that's okay because I like the light and the darkness of it, the ombre feeling. Okay, close that one up. And then the last one is cinnamon cider. Pressing down. And again, getting it wet. Here we go. And there. Here we go. So you will notice that the paper does start to curl up a little bit, and that's fine. It will dry flat. If not, you can use your bone folder to flatten it out. Sometimes if you need your paper to dry, you can let this dry overnight, or you can let it, you can use your heat tool. I'm going to go ahead and wipe some of this off. There we go, because I don't like leaving my puddle. Okay, so here we have our watercolor. Again, the color is just not, let me see if this light, there we go. I think that's a little bit better. So you can see here, so we have our Sahara Sand, we have our Mint Macaron, we have our terracotta tile, and our cinnamon cider. So I already have one dry for you, and I have it right here. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and just, and what I like to do before I close it back up, I just push the bristles together. And I like to leave these down just so that the tip stays moist. So I usually do that. All right, so, sorry, I've been having trouble with this light. All right, so then what we're going to do is now we are going to stamp this image. Here's my dry piece. And again, the color doesn't do it justice, but it is a little bit darker and it looks really nice. Oh, sorry guys, the light is, okay. So I really like how this came together and it's dried. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the poppy seed pod and we're going to stamp it in early espresso. And I like a really juiced up stamp. And you'll notice because I just re-inked the stamp. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and press down and lift. And you get this nice solid image. So I'm going to let that dry for a second and use our really great chamois. Leave it in a clear DVD case and it stays moist in here. And you can use this over and over again. You can see I've used it a ton. I can turn it over, use the other side, but then I can just rinse it off, but it gets the stamp really nice and clean. So, okay. So then we're gonna let this dry, but before we do that, I'm gonna take my early espresso Stampin' Write marker, and you'll notice we have a fine tip side and we have a broad tip side. So I'm going to use the broad tip side, and I'm going to go and see if you can see this better. There we go. And then I'm just going to take it and flick it. Okay. And that gives the little specks. The closer I get to it, the more speckles I get, the more in depth. But it just gives it a little bit more to the card, as you can see. There we go. I feel like I want a little bit more right there. There you go. Okay. And then sometimes inside it gets a little, you'll see in there, it just gets a little bit of the ink on there puddled, and you can go ahead and just take that out with a paper towel. Okay. So now we're ready to move on, and we're going to use our Wink of Stella, which I had. Let me see if this is the right one. Yeah, this is this is our clear Wink of Stella brush. This is great too for watercoloring. You could take actually the inside, use this as a watercolor paintbrush as well. And it just adds a little bit more color to it, which I really like. So what I'm going to show you, and I did it differently on this card. All I did right here is I just brushed the Wink of Stella on here. But just to give you a different idea of how this works, I'm going to go ahead and press down again a little bit. I don't need that much, but I'm going to take our Wink of Stella brush, and I'm going to use this as a watercolor. And again, you can press on it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and color this in. So not only are you getting the nice glitter effect, but you're also getting a little bit of color to it. How easy. It's just so much fun. I don't know. I could play with watercoloring all day. I really, really like it. Okay. And there we go. And even it shows up as a different color when you go over the watercolor. And I'm going to use my stem, and you'll notice that it's just easy. I can squeeze a little bit more, give it a little bit more. But I think that just adds a little bit more fun and depth to the color. of what you're doing. So I'm going to take my, and when you're finished, because you want to make sure you get all the ink off. So what I'm doing is I'm just brushing. So now it's back, it's all clean and ready to go. Okay, so then what we've got is we have this little element here, and this little tag shape comes from the Tasteful Touches bundle, which we're using the paper from that bundle as well. But here are the tasteful labels right here, and we're using this banner die right here to, and I used it in Very Vanilla. So I'm going to take the tag that I've already stamped, forgot to get my, and I'm going to take the little saying, a little note, and I'm going to stamp it. So go ahead and just make sure that that's level. There we go. And I'm going to take my early espresso ink again, and I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to go right of center just a little because we're going to add an element from that tasteful, that In Good Taste bundle. Okay, so let me clean this off. All right. Okay, so that's finished, and I have my little, it's a little note. Now we're ready to put the card together. So here I have one of the elements that we're going to be using, and this is from the In Good Taste element pack, and it comes with leaves, it comes with some other different kinds of leaves, and it comes with crosses and these little hexagon shapes. They're really cute. So I like the wood element to this because we are using the wood paper from the In Good Taste designer paper series. So here's the other side of it. I thought about using that side, but I was like, no, I really like this because it does have some of the cinnamon cider in here and some of the early espresso. So we're gonna go ahead and just use my stamp and seal, and there we go. And if you haven't had our new stamp and seal yet, it's awesome. I love it. It's really easy to use, and it's just very smooth, and a little goes a long way. And it's a little bit stickier than our old tape runner that we used to carry. So I'm going to go ahead. This is a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 designer paper, and I'm just going to put it on top of the Very Vanilla cardstock. So here we have a piece of 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4, and here we have our flush piece of designer paper at 4 1/2 by 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take the linen thread, and if you'll notice here, I wrapped it around about 3 times and then tied a knot. So this might take just a second because sometimes my tying skills are not the best. I love our linen thread. It's fun to use. So here I'm going to leave just a little bit. This is going to be part of my tie. And then I'm going to wrap it around 1, 2, and then the third time around is when I'm going to use it to tie. And sometimes what I like to do is just wrap around like this, so when you tie it, it's a little bit more secure. So I'm going to knot it first. I like to get it all nice and snug. So there you have your tie, your knot right there. And then I'm going to make my bow. There we go. And you can make it smaller, bigger, however you want. Just go ahead and then take my paper snips, cut off the edge, and you can manipulate the bow how you want it. And if it doesn't get snug enough for you, I would put a glue dot to adhere right there. So I'm going to go ahead and spread this out a little bit. The other thing I forgot to do, and I did this when I was making my card as well, is I wanted to distress the edges. If you'll notice in this card, I've distressed the edges. And we used to have a great distressing tool, but your scissors just do the best. These paper snips are easy to use, so I'm going to brush against the grain of the paper and go around. And you can do it as light or as heavy as you want. You'll get more of the distressed effect. Do my little edge right there. And there we go. Okay. And it does make a mess. So, all right. So now we are ready to adhere this to our card. And I'm going to make it even so I have about 1/4 of an inch on either side. So I'm going to take dimensionals, and when you're using watercolor paper, it's really good to adhere quite a bit of dimensionals on so it lays more flat. And again, as always, I tell all my customers, use every little bit of this sheet. So you can also use the edges. All right, so now I'm going to take off all of the dimensional backings. Here we go. And adhere. I like it's going to be popped up. Here we go. And then I'm just going to add this to the card. There we go. Okay. I like to clean up as I go. Some people like to clean up at the very end. I'm one of those kind that I just like to go. And then you're going to take and pop up the little sentiment. And again, just like I said, you want to use every little bit of this sheet of dimensionals. So I'm just going to put that on there, and I'm just going to put it over just a little bit so you can still see the bow. There we go. And then we're going to add our element right here. And there's two sides. There's like more of a burnt side, and then there's more of a light side. I'm going to use the more burnished side. And with my glue dots, I'm just going to press down, pick up a dot. I'm going to use 2 of them. Pick up a dot. And then I'm just going to add this to there. I just love this effect. I love the Wink of Stella. I love the watercolor effect. And then with our speckling, it's really just a nice, easy, vibrant card that stands out. And on the inside, I'm going to take, this is our, what did I call it? Now I forget. This is the butter tree. I'll remember all of these. And I'm just gonna stamp it in mint macaron. Oh, actually, I used Sahara Sand on this one, but this time I'm gonna use mint macaron. And I'm just going to go ahead and push down and lift up. There we go. I love the line effect. It's just it's so nice. Shows all the nooks and crannies of the card. Okay, let's clean this off, and we are all set. And don't forget, when you are making these cards, to always stamp your envelope. I always forget to do that sometimes. So as I'm telling you, I'm reminding myself that that's what I need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. There we go. Okay, so that is the card. Here's the second card. I'm really, really loving this effect. There you see the darker one and the light one. I want to show you some other ones that I've made with this stamp set. This one, I really like the tone on tone. So this is Sahara Sand, and it's a 4¼ by 11, scored at 5½. And then I just took a piece of 4 by 5¼ Sahara Sand as well. And then I just stamped the hickory images and the paper lantern image, as well as the seeds. And then I took some more of the dies from the Tasteful Label dies, used some of the wood grain that comes in the designer paper with this suite. Here is this beautiful 1/4 inch cotton cinnamon cider ribbon. It comes in all the in colors. And then I stamped Happy Birthday in terracotta tile. And on the inside, I used the sweet gum. I stamped off first with the sweet gum, and then Enjoy the Moment. And then there's still plenty for writing. So there's one card. Oh, I'm sorry to show you that. There we go. So, and there's the inside. Sorry about that. I was too up high. And then the next one, this is probably another one of my favorites. So again, using the watercolor effect that I showed you, I also took, and that I used shimmery white cardstock for this. Once it was dry, I ran it through the Script 3D embossing folder. So you can see, ran it through there. And then I took some of the seed pods, I stamped them in cinnamon cider, but then I took the water painter, that's the fine tip one, and I just went ahead and watercolored that in, and then colored it in Winkostella. So here I stamped in mint macaron, I watercolored a little bit, I even added a little bit of terracotta tile ink, and here is the lotus pod, same thing, watercolored it a little bit. And then I fussy cut out all of the images. Here's another die from that Tasteful Labels die set, and Happy Birthday. I took the linen thread, and then I used, here are some of the wood elements that come in that In Good Taste element set, all part of that same In Good Taste suite. And then on the inside, I stamped off the sweet gum and then stamped it and Enjoy the Moment in cinnamon cider. So there's that card. This is a little bit more for the avid stamper. I think this card is, if all the shapes are ran through the emboss and cut machine, all they have to do is stamp the image and then layer. But it's a nice, just to show how the tone on tone really works and how the color really is brought out. And then this last one is, I love this, I call it like a puzzle piece cutting. So this piece was stamped with Sahara Sand and also mint macaron, but I stamped off. So I'd stamp true and then stamp again here. And then I cut it. I stamped the Friendship is Found in Simple Things in the middle. And then I cut about 1¼ inch on each side. So it just gave a little bit of the see-through of the paper. And this is our new Mossy Meadow linen, like it's 1/8 inch linen thread. It's really nice, and I frayed it a little bit. And this is part of a new suite that's coming out in the new mini catalog that'll be out January. And I'm going to be showing some videos on that as well. But I just love that. I wrapped it around, and so it just gives this nice little subtleness, just the peek-a-through with the ribbon. And then on the inside, I stamped the pod, and I used just the terracotta. I just actually used a blender pen and with the terracotta tile ink and just colored in the seeds. So anyway, so I hope that this would inspire you, especially with the watercoloring, to watercolor and have fun with it. A lot of things are starting to happen in January, and we'll have Celebration coming up, and I will be able to give you some ideas on how to use different products to create this, but also be able to get free product if you buy $50 or more. So this is definitely just a great set. I'm really enjoying it, but I just wanted to share with you how I used it today. So hopefully you will give it a try. And if you have any questions or you want to follow me at Lizzie Stamps Stampin' Up on Facebook and also on Lizzie Stamps on Instagram. So I hope you'll give it a try. And I really appreciate every thing that I have to show you. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Have a great day.